Hello, my name is Gina from Intentional Homesteading. Thank you for stopping by. My family and I are homesteading in the coastal region of Northwest Florida in a suburban environment. We've been on this property for about 2 years, but have been homesteading intentionally for about 1 year now. Currently, we have a garden, we have chickens, and we've had other experiences of homesteading along the way over the last year that's been it's a story for another day. um, but our plan is to stay here. We have no plans of moving to 40 acres in the country and homesteading out there. Our plan is to stay here because our children go to school here and we like the school, we like the location. I love having our neighbors. We have amazing neighbors here. We don't have plans to do anything else. So our goal ultimately with homesteading is to be maximizing the land that we have for the most production we could get while still maintaining the land and the aesthetic. It's easy to come in and say you want to have chickens, but when you have neighbors and people who are driving by who are particular, it's nice to make sure we maintain an aesthetic. So ultimately, our homestead has been a blending of modern suburban aesthetic with traditional gardening, farming practices that are mindful of the earth. So when we first started looking into getting into homesteading, it did seem like there was a large trend of people that want to move out to the countryside and go back to the way things used to be and to do things as if we were living 50, 100 years ago without the current modern amenities. Our idea has never been to walk away from modern life. I have a full-time job, my husband works full-time, but our goal is not to go back because we really can't go back in time. We don't have a society that looks anything like it did 50, 100 more years ago when agriculture was more commonplace around communities. Our goal is to really push things forward and improve the quality of our life by homesteading. I could go to Publix and buy organic produce or the best produce I could find, but chances are it might come from a foreign country. It has gone through whatever food processing that it needed to maintain its integrity to be able to ship and not go bad in time. And then it comes to me and I put it in my fridge for a week. That is not what we consider high quality food or peak nutrition. To me, peak nutrition is when I get to walk out my back door to the garden and pick a bright red tomato off the vine and bring it right back in for a sandwich. I know exactly where my tomato came from, how it was made, how it was grown, what was used on it, that it didn't ever have any pesticides. That is the standard that I would like to raise our food to. It is impossible for us to raise all of the food we need to support all of us at our home, but our goal is to start decreasing our reliance on the current food system and replacing as many meals as we possibly can. Our world is being significantly affected by chronic health diseases. Cancer is on the rise, heart disease, diabetes, and it's affecting people at younger and younger ages. So we feel it's valuable to invest in our food, and as a society it would be beneficial if we can localize our food. We're taking it on ourselves as a family to do that by localizing not just to a nearby farm but to our own backyard, and taking that responsibility for providing the food for ourselves and for the people around us. Being that we do work full time, having a system that is efficient is very important to us. I am not shy about integrating technology into our garden, automation, things that make it possible to get more done in less time. That doesn't necessarily mean I'm going to be out there spraying 7 Dust. But it does mean that I'm willing to utilize the resources and technology, um, wherever it be, to make things more doable. Because part of having a quality life as a homesteader isn't about just running away into the desert or to the forest or wherever you are and living off the land. I mean, it sounds good on paper, but I also like to take vacations with my kids. I also like to spend the day doing other things that aren't just homesteading. We feel it's real important to prevent burnout in this lifestyle, especially for people who've come from suburban lifestyles where we didn't grow up with agriculture. I grew up in a city. I had family up in Wyoming, and I would spend the summers up there. And that was my exposure to agriculture, but it was not at the scale that I was doing here at home. It was on a large farms where we were driving the John Deere tractors. And I remember getting in the tractors and going down the fields, but I couldn't tell you a thing about how to grow a plant. I just knew we got to ride in the tractor and irrigate the fields as kids. So that was pretty much my exposure to it. So all of this is new for me and a learning curve. But it is doable. And with regards to the garden, I'm not a purist. There's a lot of people who have different philosophies on the garden, who want the soil to just be magically perfect and it will grow the biggest tomatoes on earth. I have not found that to be the experience in my garden. And I have taken the approach of progress, not perfection. I would ultimately like to get to a point where my garden and the soil is improved to the point where I could just throw whatever out there and I could grow Jack's beanstalk. But that's not where we're at now. As I'm able to build more compost using the chickens, that feeds the garden, the soil will improve. Over time, things will improve. And as we progress, I will rely on external inputs less. But my goal ultimately is to feed my family with food that we have grown in the best way we can. We still believe that even under a progress philosophy, which is not perfection by whatever standards people seem to think is perfect, it is still better than the product that we're able to get from the grocery store. So we try to be gracious and understanding of the process and the progress that we will be making over time. But I did want to put that out there that we are a progress, not perfection homestead. Very few people wake up and are just homesteading one day. This is an intentional choice. It's a transition from our current way of living into something that's higher quality, healthier, and provides happiness in a manner that I did not expect prior to getting into this. The happiness that comes with homesteading is beyond parallel to anything else in society. And I appreciate you taking the time to listen to our story, and I hope you'll follow along with us. Again, this is Gina from Intentional Homesteading. Bye-bye.